Hello, hello, hello. I'm Lynn Browder, and I have a son, Owen, who is 11, and he has autism. And we paint together, working on his fine motor skills. And I paint a lot of flowers. Lots of flowers. And lots of flowers. So for days and days and days, I keep saying I'm going to do something different, or at least different with my flowers. And so today I'm trying to kind of accomplish that. So we will see what happens. I am trying to kind of do a lot of green and then kind of fill in some flowers here and there as I go along. So I figure if I do all the leaves, and if you've watched before, you know I love that word, before I even pick up the other paints, then I have to do not a bunch of flowers. I have been stuck on a bunch of flowers, a couple of different ways, but mostly just a bunch of flowers. But I was looking at some of my animals earlier today that I had done. I did animals in a band, and I did a whole bunch of little characters and things. And so I haven't done anything like that in a while. So I need to kind of think through what I could kind of do or create again. So we'll see where I go with that. I never know what's gonna come around the bend for what I want to make or do or be. And I'm pretty exhausted today. Owen was up at 2 in the morning, and no matter what I tried to convince him about, he was not having it. We were awake, and that was that. He realized that he did not see his grandma yesterday, and that is routine. He goes to grandma on Saturdays almost every week, but like yesterday, we did something a little different. We went to this farm that has all these different activities, and he enjoyed it. He was done probably in about 2 hours, and we stayed not quite 4, but we ate lunch and different things, so that kind of broke up the day for him. But it was hard. He was overwhelmed. He was having fun, but he was also overwhelmed with the different activities. So when we left, we could have gone to see his grandma for a little bit, but he kept saying he wanted to go home and take a bath. And I could have still said, okay, let's go to grandma's. And it was kind of one of those things, do we have a rough moment yesterday in that moment and go to grandma's when he's back and forth and kind of overwhelmed at this point? Or do I just go ahead and take him home and know that the overwhelming moments are going to come later? So, and you know, as many times as I think about it, I always hope that there's not the overwhelming times later. And so that's what I was kind of hoping upon hope yesterday. And so he realized multiple times that he wasn't going to see his grandma yesterday. So he was up at 2 in the morning, and I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm completely tired. I'm a little more than tired. I'm completely more than completely tired. Whatever that is. And he he wasn't that tired. He was tired, but he wasn't that tired. And then I can say the opposite is true. But he yawned a few times, and that was the day. That was, and we didn't go to church because I was just from walking all day yesterday, well, which for me was a lot because I have severe arthritis and hemihypertrophy and a couple other things. Hemihypertrophy means my right side is larger than my left side. So I was quite tired from all the events and everything that we did yesterday. So then having him wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I tried to get him back to sleep, but he just wanted to yell about having his tablet. And I should know, and I do know by this point, that that is just not going to go over well if I even attempt to do anything different. But yet I still try. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I kept trying, and he was having none of it. So finally, we just had and we didn't go to church, which also, again, kind of threw him off a little bit. But when days like that, there's just no way that I can't drive and concentrate and think and just all of it. So, we stayed home, and he then realized as he was going to bed, and well, several times throughout the day, but as he was going to bed, he realized that he didn't see his grandma yesterday and he didn't go to church today. And both of those things are things that he absolutely loves. So he's plotting. He usually doesn't like to go and do random things during the week. So this may or may not continue to be something that he's talking about. But he is trying to figure out how he's going to go see his grandma this week. And I told him that we could take a pizza to them, to his grandparents one day this week after his therapy or different days. So we shall see how that all plays out and, goes through all the motions. Which it's hard for him. It's hard for him to understand why he's not going to do the things that he wants to do, even though he may or may not be the one in control over the situation. Like, he was up at 2, and he kept thinking we were still going to go to church. But if I'm not awake, I can't go to church. So that's kind of what happened today. But he fell asleep rather quickly, and hopefully he will stay asleep. I'm praying and praying and praying. And then he has, usually on Mondays, he just started music therapy on Mondays, and then he goes to vision therapy. And he goes to vision therapy to help with like the tracking of his eyes, and he has meltdowns over blue pants and people not wearing blue pants. And so we've been trying to get him to understand that and work through it with him. And so he's in vision therapy for those things. Well, he started music therapy a few weeks ago, and he usually goes on Mondays. I pick him up from school, and then he goes. He's been twice, and then we come home for a little while, and then he goes to vision therapy. Well, he isn't going to music therapy, and his therapist told him when we were there on this past Monday, that she wouldn't see him this week, but she'd see him in 2 weeks. And so he doesn't forget. Nothing. I don't think he forgets anything. Um, and it's good to prepare him for things. And I truly need him to be more prepared for things because random things happen. But it is also hard because then he realizes his routine is not going to be what he wants it to be. And that's kind of how today was, because not only did he not go to see his grandma yesterday, and he still had a great time where he was, it's just he missed out on seeing his grandma, and who wouldn't be upset about that? And then he didn't go to church today because of us not sleeping. So that was another big thing. And then tomorrow, even though it's a new part of his routine, he really is enjoying music therapy. And so that is something that is going to be hard for him to just not be able to go to tomorrow. And so, that was just one more part of his little day that kind of went different than he was expecting. So, kind of teaching him how routine doesn't always get to be routine. And that's hard for any of us to kind of, when we want something, I know when I want something, it's hard for me to think, well, that's not how that went. So, I'm hoping he can kind of look back through today and understand that. And then he was focusing on tomorrow, that it wasn't going to be what he thought it would be. And so that's kind of what I want to help him understand, that not always do we have exact routines. And like I said, that's hard for any of us to kind of fathom through and think about. But we got to do it. We got to work through it, and I know he will. But keeping certain things from him, like when he's not going to be doing some routines, some ways that is definitely easier, but in other ways it just does the ripple effect for later on. So it's kind of learning as he grows, as I grow and learn with him, because we'll figure out when we should do things or when we should talk about things. And I'm hoping that will help him figure it out as well. So, and it has, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. Because we've been up, like I said, since 2. And, yeah, I'm a little exhausted. And he, it's a long day for him. But he probably handled it. He probably was more awake, I should say that, than I was. Okay, so I think that's where I'm gonna leave it. I really feel like I want to splatter this one, but when I say splatter, I take the brush and fill the colors and kind of spray it across the things. But I think I'm going to leave it like it is. And I do O for Owen. And then L. And B. So I think that's it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I keep looking to see if there's anything else, but I don't want to fill it up too full, and I just want it to be kind of what it is. I might do a little, sometimes I go back in and do some details, because when it dries, If you've watched some of my other ones before, I always say I like to watch paint dry, because when it dries, you get such a learning experience from it. So I always like to watch paint dry. So just kind of filling in some of the spots to make sure the color will come out. And then this is, I put my colors on here, and then I make what I call paint blob jewelry. That's like the technical term. But I spread all this out, and I'll spread it out a little bit better and kind of mix it in there. But this is paint blob jewelry, and this moves back and forth on that one. But I make drop rings and different things like that. So, but that's what that is, and I thank you for watching and being a part of our day. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Toodles!